And now moving on to some other stories, my colleague Rishabh spoke to Aman Sharma, Joint Secretary at the Department of Pharmaceuticals, ahead of India Medical Device 2026 on India's growing medical devices ecosystem, the PLI scheme and country's manufacturing push. Let's listen in.
So, a large part of your portfolio here at the department is also medical devices. It has been a focus of the government. For the first PLI scheme was out about a couple of years ago. Talk to us about how that response has been, how much we've been able to, like you said, not just assembly, but wholesome manufacturing, end-to-end manufacturing of these devices. And also, what are we doing in terms of a PLI 2.0 if the response for the first one was decent enough?
In fact, as I mentioned, that India is a very new entrant as far as the medical devices industry is concerned. And seriously, we started looking at this sector only post 2015 or 2016. And that's how in 2020, a lot of initiatives came up. There was a change in the regulatory setup also, because medical devices, we all understand, they were not under regulation till 2017 and 2020. Medical devices rules came for the first time in 2017. So basically medical devices were clubbed with the pharmaceuticals. Okay. And so first time we started looking at this sector separately from the pharma. And in 2020, it was made mandatory that all the medical devices, because we are dealing with human life, so they cannot be left unregulated. So we have to basically have a regulator to look into the quality performance of these medical devices. So that was one aspect. Second was the PLI scheme, which came up to support the industry so that we can get investment in this sector, and that rightly happened. And I can tell you that now 57 medical devices, or rather I would say they are complex high-tech equipment. They were not being manufactured in the country. Now they are being manufactured, and in fact we are now an exporter of also these medical devices, and it has benefited both in terms of attracting FDI in the country. So many multinational companies, they started manufacturing in the country, and homegrown companies have also come up. So we have several homegrown companies who have entered into the complex high-tech medical equipment, like a linear accelerator. It is used for radiotherapy in case of cancer treatment. So we have an Indian company who is actually manufacturing it. So we have companies in India who are manufacturing soft tissue robotics. And many different kinds of high-tech medical devices are now being manufactured by Indian companies. So I think that's a key takeaway from this scheme.
What does the roadmap to cut the dependence on imported APIs look like? Has the government thought of it? What is the vision that one has with that?
Actually, if you ask me, government is not working towards cutting down on imports. We will always remain import dependent. In fact, every country remains import dependent. You cannot be 100% self-reliant in everything. So import have to be there. And in fact, imports are a good thing in a way that they provide us the key inputs and raw materials to manufacture various products, drugs, pharmaceuticals, medical devices. So imports are going to be there. It's a reality that we live in the present world. But having said that, the government had thought that we need to bring down the dependency on certain key APIs, where then there can be a risk of disruption in the supply chain in case we are too much dependent on the imported APIs. Yes. So that is how the bulk drug PLI scheme came into being. That was basically to promote API manufacture and KSM, key starting material, as we call as drug intermediaries, which are used to produce the formulation. So that scheme was basically for this purpose. It has been successful and a lot of capacity has come in. But yes, the capacity utilization was not much, because there is a lot of price pressure from the imported APIs. So we had seen in the last few months there were instances of imposition of minimum import price also on some of these APIs. So the result has been very encouraging now, and a lot of spare capacity which was lying unutilized is now being utilized slowly and slowly. So I think as far as the APIs are concerned, yes, we are moving very fast towards reducing our dependency on imported APIs, which are very key and very important for ensuring the healthcare security in the country. So we are moving in that direction.
One final question, sir. You have Trump's tariffs that have hit various sectors. Pharma so far was sort of not affected by it, but you have constant commentary coming in from the US that there will be more and more tariffs that could come in on the pharma sector. How is the government preparing and reviewing for any such scenario that might come up?
I think as far as the situation in generic chemical entities is concerned, I think Indian industry has a huge edge on the competitors, and this is an area where if you have scale, then you really have an unassailable lead over the competitors. And right now, our pharma industry is well positioned to counter any kind of threat or competition which can come from other countries. I think it's for the countries like US to basically decide how much tariff would be sustainable in this sector, because US alone purchases almost $10 billion worth of Indian generic drugs every year. So I think there's a larger picture to it. I think Commerce Department would definitely be looking into it.